Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Nickin' Weekly Show. I'm your host, a.k.a. Queen. And as always, we have a lot to talk about. The Knicks lost to Cleveland again last night. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about OG Anunoby's recent play. A lot of comparisons to Kawhi Leonard. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about what we can expect from the New York Knicks in the playoffs, what we can expect from Mitchell Robinson in the playoffs, who we would like to face in the playoffs. Is it too early to talk playoffs? I mean, we still got like what, six more games.
We're in the field, so
we'll talk about that. And then there's one question that I'm rolling over from Queen's Court, and that is once the Knicks clinch the third seed, if they haven't already, I haven't got the recent updates. What should the minutes distribution look like for the rest of the season? We will talk about that, whether you favor rest or rhythm or a little bit of both. Anyway, let's get into it. Jeff, Ajay, Trey Frazier gracing us with his presence. Jarrell is back from breaking down tape for the New York Giants, telling us he was at work last week doing overtime. We all know what it is. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Happy to be here.
Feeling good.
I feel like it should have been Jarrell gracing us with his presence too, because he hasn't been here in a while.
It's just 1 week, Ajay. I was here.
No, you missed many shows, man. It wasn't just 1 week.
It was 1 week.
It was 1 week.
No,
it was
1 week.
Yeah,
but his presence is so strong.
That's what it
that
was.
when he's not here, it's like a vacuum, like
man.
Hey, Ajay, I might not be here next week either, man.
What?
Next week is my born day, so I might not be home, to be honest.
Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Because you know my condition. I'm going to forget. Don't expect me to send you
happy late birthday to the Queen.
Happy birthday now.
Say it now, Queen. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Steph.
Yeah.
No, happy belated.
Happy birthday, Steph.
Happy belated.
Oh, for me? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Appreciate it. All right, let's get into last night's game. Let's just talk generalities. I do have some specific questions about the game, but I just want to ask each of you what stood out from the game last night, besides the fact that we lost. Trey, we'll start with you.
So for me, it's just been the rise of OG Anunoby in this stretch of games. I think it's 7 or 8 straight games, 20 plus points, something like that. The fact that he continues to be aggressive, going to the basket, 3-point shooting. I feel like this is his best stretch ever. So the fact that he was able to get himself going early in the game, I thought was why we were up by, I think the most we was up by was like 15 points or something like that. But he had a lot to do with that. I think he had 16 in the first quarter. And if we continue to get that from him, I think we'll be in pretty good shape for the playoffs. So that's my thoughts, even despite the loss.
Okay. All right. Jarrell, and we're going to talk about OG Anunoby in the next segment. Jarrell, what stood out for you?
What stood out? Mitchell Robinson's not being there was apparent to me. I guess maybe because we lost the game, all the negative stuff was rushing to my head. Like Mitch not being there obviously was a factor. Mikal Bridges, I don't want to say he didn't show up, but he didn't do what I thought Mikal Bridges was going to do. But other than that, just to make it quick, just those two things I noticed. Like we would have been a lot better if Mikal Bridges would have had a better game and Mitchell Robinson would have played, obviously.
Yeah, and Brunson. But
I don't count Brunson because Brunson is hurt and Mitch is not hurt. He's just not playing back to back, so something like that. So yeah, Brunson not being here, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, what stood out for you?
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Jarrell. The no-show by Bridges was really disappointing. JJ said it in the chat too, right off the bat. I was really disappointed that he took like 6 total shots. I mean, we just need more. We need more aggression from him. We need him to be more of a threat And I don't know if it's just because of his defensive assignments or what, but we need him to be one of a big three, especially when we don't have Jalen in the lineup, and he was ghost town. So I don't know what milk carton he was on the back of, but he needs to come back to us quick.
What do you think that was about, though? Do you think it was the ball didn't come his way? Do you think that he, because I don't know how many catches, he had. Do you think he just passed up looks?
I'm not sure. Again, I'm not the best person to ask in this case because I was at church services during most of the game. The game was already out of hand by the time I got home. So, I don't know. I don't know the root cause of it. I didn't have eyeballs on it to really say one thing or the other. I'm kind of wondering if the second night of a back-to-back kind of got to him a little bit. But I don't want to make excuses either, So
Right.
I didn't expect us to win that game, but when you go up 15, to lose by 20 is pretty disappointing.
Yeah. Do you think, though, that on the second half of a back-to-back, the longer the game goes, the more difficult it is?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I'm not really upset as much as I'm disappointed. It was the result that I thought was going to happen, but they, in typical Knicks fashion, they're going to give you a glimmer of hope, just enough to get you sucked in, and then they're going to bang, smack it down on you. Oh yeah, this is what we expected. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not going to put much stock in that game one way or the other, though. I don't think that it's an indictment of the Knicks that without our three best point guards, we lost to a fully rested, fully healthy Cleveland team. I'm not going to jump off a cliff over that.
And the way we played in that first half, I'm a little encouraged about what's possible when we're whole. But again, it's a 48-minute game. IJ, what stood out for you?
A couple of things. Well, of course, like Trey mentioned, the aggressiveness of OG Anunoby on both offense and defense. I mean, he is, you mentioned Kawhi Leonard. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But he is he's really emerged as somebody we could rely on, and he's been pretty consistent. I mean, granted, like he, sometimes I don't know if he doesn't show up for a half or the other team makes adjustments for a half, after he's been killing them the first half. That, we're going to have to wait for more games to get to see more. But, Cat didn't have a bad game yesterday, but something's not right with it. Like when you look at the numbers, I think he scored like 24, 25 points. Like he had a pretty decent game, but something's not right with him. Like something's not right with his play. I don't know if he's playing right. Queen, I text you last night. I mentioned to you he only took 2 3-point shots or something like that. I think they got to fix that, man. This guy, he's the best shoot. He's one of the best shooting big men in the league, and like he's not taking enough shots. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the offense seems like the offense is going through him, but he's either passing or driving. Like they need to fix that for the playoffs because it's not just him shooting the ball and scoring, but it's also keep the defense guessing, keep him, create another problem for the other team's defense. So he's almost making it easy for them by not being versatile, by not doing like he's doing the same thing every time. And he's successful half the time. The other half, like he commits a foul or they swipe the ball. I don't know, something crazy happens, but he needs to use his skills a little more. So I that's another thing I noticed yesterday.
Do you think, and I've talked about this, do you think against the good teams who could take away certain options and they have the personnel to even take away certain players? And we can point to OG Anunoby with 5-6 points or whatever it was
In the second half.
in the second half. Do you think this is about the Knicks not being good enough? So when they take away your first or second options, the Knicks don't have a third option, or do you think this is more about lack of recognition when teams take away an option that the Knicks are not countering that option well?
I think it's lack of recognition because, case in point, OG Anunoby was killing it, right? And then let's say, I don't know that that's what happened. Let's say the team, let's say the defense take away that option. We have other guys who can score. Mikal Bridges, he needs to step up. He needs to pick up the slack. From if OG's tied up and he can't, he needs to do that. And so does Karl Anthony Towns. So it's, you can't, if OG's, in the second half's not producing, then you need to go, to open up the game and let somebody else try to pick up the scoring slack.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Particularly OG Anunoby, who was less than effective in that second half. Do you think it was just he put out a lot of energy in the first half? Do you think it's that they made an adjustment? What do you think was the difference between his first and second half performance, Trey?
I think the difference is that no one else really, stepped up. I mean, you're talking about being up by 15 and then end up losing the game by 20 something points. So that's like a 45-point swing. And I think you got to attribute it to him maybe using up all his energy, and then it's a combination of that and the others not asserting themselves offensively. I think I agree with whoever mentioned Bridges. He's got to step up because he's the guy that we gave 5 draft picks for. So he's really going to have to start playing with a little bit more consistency on the offensive side. And then I think when Brunson comes back, and I got to jump off, I'll make this point.
Mm-hmm.
When Brunson gets back, I think what you're seeing from these guys now, I think is going to be tweaked a little bit, because obviously Brunson's going to run the floor. He's going to be the general. You're not going to see OG go off for 20 plus every night when he gets back. So I think you're going to see a lot of things start to, change. And then with the addition of Robinson, coming back, this team is going to look a whole lot different. And I've been saying from day one, like, I'm not going to count this team out until I can see this team fully, healthy. When we go up against the big boys,
Mm-hmm.
That's Boston, that's Cleveland, and OKC if we end up, seeing them in the finals. I'm not going to count this team out. I know it looks bad because they've been blown out in all these games against those teams, but I just want to see Mitch and Cat in the front court together. And I think that's really going to tell the story in these playoffs.
We could have definitely used Mitch last night
For sure.
Versus Cleveland. It's just the second and third opportunities that that they got really made it difficult for the Knicks. That was one of the first times where I really felt our lack of size hurt us. And I'm not saying it hasn't happened before, but it was apparent. At least more apparent to me versus Cleveland. I want to throw another take in there when it comes to Bridges against Cleveland and even OG in the second half, because I think this is what happens in the playoffs. It's one thing to run a great offense against Washington and pick another team. It's another thing to come up big against, the Philadelphia 76ers. The playoffs is another animal. And when we play these good teams, you get a little taste of the personnel that they have and how they deploy that personnel and the different counters that they can make, the different things they can do to make it difficult for you. Everybody knows the formula to beat every other team. Like, there's no secret on how to beat Boston. There's no secret of how to beat the Knicks, but you got to have the personnel to execute, right? And the better teams you have, they have the personnel to execute that game plan, right? So to me, I feel like Bridges and OG, as well as he's been playing, it's a whole nother story when they start keying on you and taking away things. What do you do now? Now, The counter to that is you should be able to go to somebody else, right? If they're doing, if they're paying extra attention to OG Anunoby to make it difficult for him in the second half, that should open up something for somebody else. And this is where the recognition from the Knicks, to me, is an issue. Any thoughts on? Thank you, Trey, for hopping on. Appreciate you. Any thoughts on? Sorry, try to get my light right here. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
Queen, can I say something real quick about size, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we know Cleveland got, they're very long up front, right? I mean, they got two small guards, but they're very long. Like you got the Twin Towers, you got, even the what's the kid they got from Atlanta Hawk,
DeAndre
Hunter. He's big, he's long. So do you feel the coaching staff should have not played Mitch the game before and let him play for this game?
We wouldn't have had no centers though against Philly.
Yeah, but we were playing Philly though.
The Knicks broke that game. It's not like the Knicks. It's not like the Knicks ran away with the game versus Philly with Mitch.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't have won without Mitch. It would have been a little tougher, a little more competitive, and so on and so forth. But I think it's at this point of the season, you need to be strategic in knowing who you measure up with, because Philly is, they're not going to be in the playoffs. You need to play against those good teams, with the guys you have. Get him some burn against those playoff bound teams that you may meet at some point in the playoffs to see where you stand.
So you would have preferred us to just go with Precious and Watson. What's his name? Precious and
against Philly, yeah.
What have and have both Mitch and
yeah.
Yeah. This is what I know about Tibbs, and he said it. All the games count the same to him. So if you can get the Philly win, get the Philly win. If you lose to Cleveland, you lose to Cleveland. But don't make it difficult for yourself against Philly and assume that you can beat them with just Precious at center. But yeah, I mean, I think it's fair.
And the next game against Cleveland, so Mitch probably, the next game against Cleveland again is another back-to-back. So that means we might not see Mitch play against. So we'll have no idea what our lineup with Mitch and Cat is against Cleveland with Mobley and Jared Allen.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, though.
It's definitely not a good thing. I want to see that matchup. Like, I want to see how we fare against. I don't know. I mean, listen, we probably won't meet. I don't know. We probably won't meet them because if we end up in third, so that's not our bracket. But
I say maybe it's a good or it's a bad thing or it's not a bad thing because I know us fans want to see that matchup against them, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's good that they don't see it. If Cleveland don't see it into the playoffs, like why give them that look just because of a regular season game? Like I don't know. Like I can see if the schedule, falls upon both of them playing together. But if it doesn't, I don't know if I would switch Mitch's schedule up just to see how we look against Cleveland.
Sometimes it's good for the opponent to not have tape on how that looks either, especially in a series, If they've played, then they know, and it's easier to prepare. If he hasn't, then that's an X factor, and I think that's what Jarrell is saying.
No,
right.
Yeah, no,
because if they don't see it, that means they will have to adjust on the fly. They don't know what it'll look like with them two against going up against their bigs. But I see where you coming from too, though. It could go either way.
No, and I see where you're coming from. I get it, but
yeah.
But I don't know. I wonder if they considered that. I guess they did, especially with Cat out. They'd probably be like, "Nah, we playing Mitch. Let's see what happened with the next back-to-back." We end the season like everything's back-to-back, man. Adam Silver, we should start.
but we don't play till Saturday. That's the crazy part. Like the Thursday, Friday, the Saturday afternoon game, and then we have another back-to-back after this last one. And I don't understand the NBA schedule. And today's like, use Google Calendar or something and get it where we don't have to play all these back-to-backs. Everybody, not just the Knicks.
Right. We got 5 games left, and
we got 6 games left.
It's 6 games left and 4 back-to-backs.
You're right.
4 back-to-back.
6 games left and 4 of the games is back-to-back.
What, if anything, can you take from this matchup last night? I think when we talk about the Knicks playing Cleveland, a lot of us are just going by the end result and not necessarily the context, right? Brunson is out. Third, we're down to our 4th string point guard. I think the narrative is still the Knicks are that much worse than Cleveland. But anyway, what can you take from? What's your thoughts on Knicks versus Cleveland? Just what's your thoughts on Knicks versus Cleveland? Is there anything you could take from last night's game that tells you anything about this matchup if we were to meet in the playoffs?
Well, I'll go real quick. For me, nothing much really because of Brunson and Mitch not playing. Like, those are going to be 2 major factors in our rotation come to playoffs. Like, Brunson is going to be Brunson, and Mitch, even if he doesn't start, he's going to come off the bench and, give us a real good defensive anchor in the middle. So, yeah, I don't really put that much into last game. I know Tibbs says every game is the same, but last night or whenever we play Cleveland in the regular season is not the playoffs to me. I think it's completely different.
Do you feel it? Do you feel that the Knicks? What percentage would you give the Knicks to win a series against Cleveland? I will put a 50% chance, a 30% chance.
I will have to put it under 50 because they will be favored in the series. Obviously, they have a better record. They obviously beat us every game so far in the regular season. So 40, 45. Like, I'm still confident against Cleveland compared to if we had to play Boston.
Right.
Like, I'm way more not afraid of anybody, but I'm way more afraid of Boston than I have Cleveland in a 7-game series because of the matchups. But yeah, they would definitely be favored. I get 40, 45% in that range. I can't go over 50 because we wouldn't not be favored in that series.
All right. Jeff, what can you take, of anything, from last night's game, and what chance would you give the Knicks percentage-wise if we met Cleveland in the playoffs?
Well, I think it depends if you're a half glass full or a half glass empty kind of a person. I think you can, either camp that you're in, you can pull takeaways. Like, the Knicks looked really good for certain portions of the first half. I mean, they did build a 15-point lead when the players still had energy and had legs. And then, they let go of the rope in the second half and that third quarter pretty hard. So you could certainly get on them about that. But, I think the encouraging part is that Jalen Brunson didn't play, Deuce McBride didn't play, Cam Payne didn't play, and you saw some of these other. I mean, we started DeLon Wright and we had a rookie against Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. That's not an ideal matchup on either side of the floor at any time. And so I think if you get that cast of characters back and you have Mitchell, Robinson, and Deuce both available, you can kind of mix and match some more defensive-minded lineups. And maybe if McCall doesn't have it, maybe you don't have to play him as much, rely on him as much, because there's somebody else you can go to. And even if I don't think a smaller backcourt is going to hurt you too bad against Cleveland, because Garland and Spider aren't that big. So I think you could probably get away with a Brunson Deuce combination if they're healthy. And then, and if you're playing, you could even play Cat and Mitch together and then have OG at the 3 if you wanted to. There's a lot more versatility and depth of things that I'd like to look at. Obviously, Cleveland's played great. I wouldn't put I'm kind of with Jarrell. I wouldn't put us beating them at more than 35, 40%. A lot of that's considering health considerations and being whole as a team. But it's really closer to 0% because I think we're going to be on the other side of the bracket. And I don't think anyway we're getting through Boston to even get a shot at Cleveland. So, in my opinion, if we get to Cleveland, the season's already been a success because that means we buried Boston. And hallelujah, praise God, and whoever else you want to worship on that one because, man, I would love to see it.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Ajay?
So my view is a little bit more somber because what I saw in the game last night is that okay, Cleveland's just is no way if there's no if ands and buts about it. They're just better than we are. They're in a place that we aspire to be. We hope to be in that place one day. Right now, we just not. We just cannot compete with them. We played a very excellent game. Yes, we started a great game yesterday, and in the end, Jeff missed the first half when he came in. When he came in the second half, he was like, "Oh boy, yeah, another one of those." So he didn't get to enjoy the good first half that we thought we was gonna do something, right? So they're just better than we are. I don't, Jarrell says 40-45%. That's very optimistic. Like if we somehow end up playing him, meaning not in the not in the final, it's somehow we slip to fourth and we end up playing them. Is that even possible mathematically? I don't even know. But if we played him in the second round, I don't even put our chance past 30% to beat him.
Wow.
Yeah. So and to put in perspective in terms of games, obviously we win one game. If we're not, this is not something that would even sniff Game 7 if we play them. I don't think, because they're just that much better.
Wow. I think I'm probably more optimistic than all three of you, and I think listen, that first half we played with DeLon Wright and Kolick. No Mitch, no Brunson, no Deuce. They made their adjustments in the second half, and that's what happens, in the playoffs. You have to make an adjustment to the adjustment, but you have to have the personnel to do so, and you got to have players showing up, right? Hart can't take 17 shots a game and Mikal Bridges takes 6. You basically playing for the other team, because you're helping them out. They would love Hart to take. Was that the most on the team? Let me see if that was the most shots on the team. I hope not. Yeah, Josh Hart last night took the most shots on the team, 19. Anunoby took 17. Karl Anthony Towns took 16. And a lot of times that happens is because they take things away, and so you're left with Josh Hart, But I think if we're whole, the way the Knicks had Cleveland on their heels in that first half, if we're whole, yeah, I they would be the favorites. Don't get me wrong, but I'm taking 65% for the Knicks.
Okay,
I'm taking 65%.
That was a function of them relaxing because we didn't have our full lineup in there.
Nah, Cleveland is still smitten from how we beat them. Was it last year or 2 years? 2 years ago. The way we wax that ass, they still, every time they get an opportunity. Matter of fact, that the last game that we played them, the next game, they probably gonna play everybody, even if they got 65 wins. They probably gonna play everybody. So no, I don't think they took us lightly. I think the Knicks, one, ran out of gas in the second half, and two, the Knicks that team just wasn't good enough. OG Anunoby 7 points in the second, like they just shut that down. And either the Knicks didn't have anywhere else to go because they took it away, or guys just didn't step up. I would have to watch that game again. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do that today. That's something I want to do, to see exactly what was going on in the second half. The Knicks 3-point defense wasn't great, but what's new? But if this team is whole with Mitchell Robinson, McBride, and Brunson, I mean, those are three significant pieces, in my opinion, that was missing yesterday. I'm good. And I will say this. I think the Knicks are gonna. This is just a feeling. This is just a feeling. I think the Knicks are gonna step it up in the playoffs. I like the way Shamit has been playing as of late. I like the way Precious have been playing as of late, though. Though yesterday, there was some moments there. I just feel like the Knicks are going to turn it up in the playoffs. I just do. I'm not saying we're going to beat Cleveland, but I don't think the gap is as much as it seems. And I'm probably on a mountain by myself.
You sound like AJ, and AJ sound like you. Usually AJ would be like, "Nah, we're not losing to anybody." And Steph would have been like, "We ain't got no chance against no."
I'm just feeling good. I mean, I'm just feeling good about this team in the playoffs. And Sherwin is even stronger than me. I am saying we are going to beat Cleveland. I don't know if I would go that far, but I don't think it's as. And we're talking playoff basketball. I'm not talking regular season basketball. I'm talking playoff basketball. I don't think the gap is as huge as it seems right now, in my opinion.
Queen, speaking of Sherwin, Sherwin, do you really have to make these attacks? Like, can you make your point without these? Please. Yeah. I mean, we like you here in the chat, but can you, come on, man, be a little smarter than this, And I don't have to think we can compete. We have 3 games that show me we can't compete. All right. And I would come back at you, but I won't do that. Like I respect the panel in the chat, so I'll just leave it right there. All right.
Yeah. I didn't catch that comment. Because one of the things I've been doing lately is blocking people and putting people in timeouts. You could disagree without being disagreeable. You could disagree without being disrespectful. And I'm fine with it, whether that's with me, whether that's Ajay, Jarrell, Jeff. If you disagree, you disagree. That's totally fine. But we're not trolling and we're not disrespecting, right? And so if that's how you have to get your point across, this is not the place. This is not the place for you.
Listen, and Sherwin's been around. Like he can make his point without doing stuff like that. Just come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. I agree. I thought I had cleaned it up. Certain people you don't even see anymore, I thought I had cleaned it up. So come on, Sharon. Lady and the Chef, I appreciate you, sis. Happy belated birthday.
Oh.
Enjoying life. I appreciate you.
Happy birthday, lady.
Now look at Magnum Boom. He disagrees respectfully. Ain't that much optimism in the world, Queen. He disagrees with me. Let me tell you something. The playoffs is different than the regular season. I'm telling you, the Knicks are going to step it up in the playoffs. I'm telling you. I'm just saying. I just got to feel it.
But Queen, I agree with you that they're going to step it up. But if they bump into Cleveland, it won't matter. That's what we're telling you. They can step it up all they want. It just won't matter. They could play better. The Knicks are going to be great in the playoffs. But once they hit one of those brick walls, the Celtics or the Cavs, it's a wrap. We're just not there yet. And it's not terrible. Listen, this is year 1 of this team, so it's okay.
I cannot tell you, and I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but I cannot tell you how many times I've seen teams be super successful in the regular season and lose in the first round of the playoffs, lose in the second round of the playoffs. It happens. It happens.
True.
And the way the Knicks pushed Cleveland around in that first half, I'm not sure. I'm just saying. Without Deuce, without Mitchell Robinson, without Brunson, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You gonna put
I'm
campaign
hopeful.
in there? You gonna put
And
campaign?
without my guy campaign turning it up.
Dancing all in the pre-games. He didn't get his handshakes off or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's why we lost. No handshakes. That's definitely it.
Salute to Keith. Salute to Keith.
It's a whole production with the man.
We seen regular season champs get bounced before. I've seen Milwaukee had the best record in the
That's true.
NBA lose to Miami. Listen, don't get me. I'm not saying the Knicks are gonna go out there and wax Cleveland. I'm just saying that I think
Yeah,
the playoffs are gonna be a little closer than.
That's exactly what you're saying, Queen. And
No, I didn't say 100%. I said the chances of the Knicks beating
65%.
Cleveland is okay. I'm
65%.
not saying 100%.
I mean, Cleveland.
He just wants to match up with Cleveland so she can listen to those Cleveland podcasts again. That's what.
That's exactly what it is.
I love those guys.
Yeah, salute to them.
Yeah. I stopped counting after like, I don't know, 42, something like that. Appreciate you, D Nice. Appreciate you. I appreciate all the birthday wishes. Was there anything in last night's game that you thought Thibodeau could have done different in terms of lineups, in terms of schemes?
Nah, not that I know of.
Not
really.
either.
Like we look like we always look, to be honest. And it's kind of hard, like with all the people that are hurt or not playing. It was, I mean, one hand tied behind his back. What did you expect Tibbs to do with the minutes and stuff? Like Landry Shaman almost played 30 minutes and scored 5 points.
Wow. Yeah. There was a lineup out there at one time with Precious, Hart, and somebody else. DeLon Wright, I think it was. And I was like, wow, where's the scoring coming? Now, we did have a little lead. This was in the first half. And I was like, wow, where's the scoring coming from? And I think they scored like 4-6 straight points before somebody scored a basket. And we went into halftime just up 7. But what are you going to do? Just play guys, like never take them out. But these lineups with 3 defensive players, it's not my favorite. It's just not my favorite. I saw a Precious Mitch Hart one time, but Hart got into foul trouble, so he had to bring Bridges in. Thank goodness. I'm just not a fan of those, what I call the brick lineups. I'm not a fan.
Real quick, with the people who played, who were the offensive players on this team that played last night?
Yeah.
And mind you, Bridges had 6 shots in 36 minutes. So I don't even count him. Not last night. I don't know who would have scored last night. It was ugly. Especially the second half was ugly, at least.
Yeah. I have some time tomorrow. I'm gonna rewatch
There was
that
a super chat, by the way, Queen. Did you?
Oh, there was? Nope. I missed it. Silk Sutton. Appreciate you. Queen, are you worried about DeLon Wright not able to? Yeah, I'm worried about. I feel like Thibodeau. I'm worried about everything, except the Cavs. No, I'm kidding. This is what we have. Yeah, there's definitely times when he's having difficulty going left, and I worry about that. I worry about Kolek sometimes getting to his spots too. We're just doing the best we can with our 4th and 5th string point guards. Anybody else worried?
On Sunday, from what I hear.
Say that
Jalen
again.
and Deuce are both rumored to be playing this weekend.
Yeah. And when that happens, I think DeLon Wright, to me, he's a situational player.
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy the Knicks did that, because where would we be right now? We would be playing Kolek and probably Josh Hart at the point guard spot. But I think once we're whole,
Shamit
or Shamit
at the point,
Yeah.
He played
that's a-
bitty
Right.
ball. You know, that's where we would have been.
that's
That's where we would have been.
He
He
was
played
8
bitty
years
ball.
old and he played point guard and had 11
Yeah,
we
assists
got
and
him.
he won that game.
that's ugly.
Like in football, they have the high school quarterback. He played quarterback in high school. Like he gonna have to come out there. He gonna have to do it.
So did everybody.
So, yeah, I think once we hold DeLon Wright and Kolick, probably to the dismay of others, will be relegated back to the bench. Anybody disagree with that or have thoughts on that?
Nah, they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be getting minutes on this team. Not fully healthy, especially in the playoffs. They won't touch the floor at all.
Correct. I think what Wright did do though was gain some trust from Thibodeau, so that if somebody get injured or get into foul trouble, Thibodeau trust him enough that he would give him some time if it came to that.
Right.
So it's always good to earn Thibodeau's trust. But in terms of that initial rotation, Precious might not even be in the rotation.
Queen DeLon, he ain't getting foul trouble minutes either
You talking about in the playoffs?
in the playoffs.
No,
I'm talking
not
about
foul
Precious.
trouble with Precious. I don't know. We might be going
I
7.
agree with you. No, I mean I agree with you. I
Yeah.
don't think Precious is playing in the playoffs either.
Yeah.
Not if everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to shoot 1 for 11 like you did against the Sixers.
Yeah.
feel
I
like
definitely think Cam will play. Who's the 8 in the rotation, you think, in the playoffs?
I think the
Mitch plus Mitch,
and
Cam, and
Landry,
Deuce.
I would guess.
No, what about Deuce?
Deuce,
Mitch,
definitely.
Cam, Deuce, and Landry, maybe. But Mitch,
So
Cam, and Deuce.
That's 9.
Mitch,
So
Cam, and Deuce.
Shamit.
No,
Yeah,
I-
Shamit may not
Mitch,
even
Cam,
play.
Mitch, Cam, and Deuce.
hold on.
Yeah.
I think Tibbs goes Shamit over campaign.
Really?
And have Deuce for the shooting and have Deuce play the backup point guard minutes? I hope not.
Because you
And
got
that's no. Mhm.
I think Hart will have the ball in his hand some. Bridges will have the ball in his hand some. Just the playoffs and just Tibbs we're talking about. So he's only going 8. And I don't think Brunson is going to hit the bench that much. He's going to average like 40 points a game. So what is
40
campaign?
minutes
Yeah, he's going. I meant to say
and
40
points. Maybe 40 points too.
Right. I meant to say 40 minutes. He's going to play 40 minutes a game. So I don't see that many backup point guard minutes anyway.
Guys, he's coming off of ankle issue, man. I really hope he doesn't play 40 minutes a game.
Well, I'm talking about in the playoffs. He better not. I don't want him to play 40 minutes a game when he first comes back, though. But if he's going to come back this weekend, he still has a good 3 weeks. Yeah,
2 weeks at most.
2 weeks for the playoffs to start. So hopefully
Yeah.
he'll be all right.
Listen. The playoffs are a different animal. If Brunson can't play 38 to 40 minutes,
Yeah, we lost anyway.
I don't know how far the Knicks are going to get. I mean, the playoffs is really about who can you take away. I've seen guys in the playoffs, I mean, from who played well in the regular season, disappear altogether in the playoffs because of the intensity, because of, schemes and what have you. We got one guy who I feel like, regardless of the scheme, can get his. As well as OG is playing, I don't even know if he's that guy. And that was my concern in the second half when whatever adjustment they made, I was like, oh, wow. I don't know. Once they start keying on you, can you still, even if you don't get the points, can you still make the right play? The only person I trust on that team is Brunson in that situation, and that's even over Cat.
I think that's fair.
It's even over Cat. And a matter of fact, Cat's. I mean, we talked about, Randall when he was here, his checkered playoff performance. There's those same questions apply to Karl Anthony Towns as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays once the playoffs start. Actually. All right. We
He's
talked about Bridges. Okay, go ahead.
no, I was gonna
Adrian.
say he's not. It's weird with Cat. Look, when you look at the stats, they look good, but when you watch the game, you feel like he's. I don't get it. I gotta watch the games again because when you watch the game, you feel like he's not really active. He's not really in there. He gets like a lot of silly fouls, but somehow he plays plenty of minutes and he scored. He scored. So I don't know
You mean on defense or offense, like both, or just his game in general?
his game in general.
I
Like
think a lot of stuff the Cat seemed like it just come too easy. Like I didn't even think he had 25 last night. I was
He
like,
did?
Yeah, he had
did. 25 and
25 and
13.
13.
I think he did, but you didn't even notice it.
Right. Like I think it's come like it's so easy for him to score sometimes. I did not think he had 25 points. He led all scores last night.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't even spend a lot of time on the court, but something.
Because usually he's pretty efficient, and last night he was 9 for 16.
Right.
You know, to your point, Adja, he only took three 3-pointers last night. Josh Hart took 9. For those who wanted him to let it fly, he let it fly. No hesitation last night. 9 3-pointers. OG had 8. DeLon Wright and Shaman had 5. They were both one. The Knicks 3-point shooting was terrible.
The Rock and Roll
Kolek
Hall
was
of Fame got some repair bricks for it.
yeah. Tyler Kolek was 0 for 3. Landry and DeLon Wright 1 for 5. Karl Anthony Towns 1 for 3. Josh Hart built a mini house 3 for 9. You know, the Knicks shot 30%. Yeah.
OG was good though.
OG was good in the first half.
Yeah,
He was good in the first half.
he was 5 for 8. I see in the first half.
Yeah, he had 19 points, and then he ended up with let's see, I'll tell you right now,
23.
right. So he scored 4 points in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what Cat. Maybe Cat is too efficient. Maybe that's why it doesn't seem like he scores a lot.
yeah.
Like it doesn't look like he's working at all. Like he had 25. I did not think that at all.
The volume of shots just isn't there. He's taking 4 shots a quarter. That's what 16 shots is, right? I mean, and how many free throws does he have?
Mm-hmm.
I could not a lot. The Knicks only had 17 as a team. Karl Anthony led the team in free throw attempts with 7.
Okay, so that's a decent number, but of late I've noticed his free throw attempts have gone down. I think when he gets, when he's working his best, those free throw numbers are up. But 7's a pretty decent number, so that's not really an issue from last night as it was. I think the previous game he played, he only had 1 free throw. So, but he's got to get more shots up.
That's not him though. That's just the refs not calling the damn fouls. That's all.
Yeah, he gets roughed up. I don't. Yeah. Oh my goodness, he's not getting no calls.
Yeah,
right.
And he can't get away with anything. They must have a Karl Anthony Towns memo. Don't let him get away with nothing. And I take back what I said about Precious. Maybe I was thinking about the Philly game. Because last night in his 21 and a half minutes, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal, 3 or 4 from the free throw line, 5 or 9 from the field. So I must have been thinking about the Philly game.
Yeah, it was the other game. Precious was actually good last night.
Yeah, he was good last night. Yeah. All right. Anything else on the game last night?
Let's just bury that thing, put the final dirt on it, and never speak of it again.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Next week's show, we'll be talking about the other Cleveland game.
The win over Cleveland, right?
Hopefully.
All right. Let's dig into OG Anunoby. Prior to that second half, he's been on a tear. I think 8-9 games of 20 plus points. Really showing up as a legit two-way player in this game. Not the smoothest offensive player, but playing to his strength in terms of power. yeah, looking really good. Not just a 3-point shot, but pulling up off the dribble. He looks like Josh Hart in transition. Right now, we have somebody else that can go coast to coast and get a basket off, or, off of a steal. He can post up as well, and his defense hasn't seemed, at least to me, to have fallen off. Given how well he's playing offensively and how much energy he's putting out offensively. Some people have compared him to Kawhi Leonard in terms of two-way play. If he's not that yet, if he is that to you, tell us. But if not, do you think he's on that trajectory? Do you see a little Kawhi Leonard in him? Jeff?
I'm not seeing Kawhi Leonard. I'm actually really curious when Brunson comes back and the number of touches diminish, if we see the same level of production from OG. In other words, does he keep when Brunson is back and with the ball in his hands more, does that impact OG's impact on that end of the floor? I mean, I kind of have a feeling that he's going to kind of regress more toward his season-long stats. I don't think you're going to see a lot of 20-point performances with Brunson back in the lineup. Not to say that he'll play poorly, but I just don't think he's going to get the same amount. He's not going to get the same volume or type of opportunities that he's getting with Brunson out of the lineup, in my opinion. And
but isn't that saying a lot about Brunson though? Like if OG is turning up the way he's turning up, and so what we're saying is when Brunson comes back, he's not going to shine like this. I guess my question is, why not? Like, why do you think? I'm not saying you're wrong, Jeff. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, why not?
I just don't know if he's going to get the same amount of touches. I mean, and I don't necessarily mean that as a knock on Brunson. I mean, first of all, Brunson is an all-star who shoots the ball extremely well. So, in other words, right now, OG Anunoby is probably the second or third best offensive option that the Knicks have. Well, when Brunson gets back, he falls to fourth or third or fourth, probably fourth. And so I think that, normal offense is going to see more touches for your best players. And that's not a knock on Brunson. It's not a knock on OG. I just think that he's not going to see the ball as frequently. And the way that his game is, like, I'm not sure that you're going to just see this level of production. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. I think he's going to go back to more being your corner threat from three and not being as aggressive and those sorts of things, just because he's going to want to keep the lane clear for Jalen and those sorts of things. So I think his role changes, and that's fine. And is it better to have 23 points per game from OG, or is it better to have Brunson's impact and, I don't know, 15 or 16 points a game from OG? Like what's the proper balance in that situation? I'm not sure. But what I think we have seen in this whole non-Brunson time period is that OG seems to be really comfortable when the pace is quicker, when it's faster in these open court situations where they're running the floor and he's like this monster dunk machine, and with the, I don't see OG as a player when it's half court in the playoffs and it's, the floor is smaller. I don't see him taking his guy one-on-one off the bounce. I don't think that's his game. If you want to tell me he'll get some of those baseline cuts for a dunk on occasion, okay, I'll certainly buy that. But again, that depends on his other players, Cat, Hart, Brunson getting him the ball. And if that's the case, that just, the less you have the ball in your hands, the more difficult it is to have a massive offensive impact.
I mean, so I don't have the stats in terms of how much of his offense right now is transition and when things slow down, he's going to have a difficult time scoring. There's stills to be had in the playoffs too. There's transition baskets to be had in the playoffs as well. I'm not sure he's the fourth option anymore. I mean, I get what you're saying that, and I agree with you. Bridges is much better at creating his own shot than OG is. But right now, OG is the more aggressive player than Bridges. Bridges is aggressive in some games, and in other games, he's not. And the games in which we need him to be aggressive, like Cleveland, he takes 6 shots. So I don't know. I think OG is on is stepping up offensively, and I think Brunson is Bridges. It's just kind of up and just kind of up and down. Anybody else? Ajay and then Jarrell.
I
In
hope
terms
Jeff,
of OG's two-way player, do you see a little Kawhi in him? Salute East Blue Drew. Appreciate
I'm not
you.
gonna say I see Kawhi, but I hope Jeff is wrong with the when Brunson come back, and I hope Brunson is on the bench, and I hope the coaching staff is talking to him, saying, "Listen, we need to exploit this whenever we can, whenever we get a chance to." Because this guy, I mean, not that they don't know what OG Anunoby can do. He's part of the team, so he's part of the team for a reason, because they know what he could do. But at the very least, man, get him the ball a little more often, not just set him up for those corner threes and when the shot clock's running out kind of thing. So I just hope Jeff is wrong, and that when when we come back when full, and we'll take full advantage of OG Anunoby. So
I'm wrong a lot, Jay. So don't worry.
But no, Jeff, what you brought up to me was more about Brunson's play. Was more about what kind of offense are we going to play with Brunson back. And I'm not taking anything away from Brunson. When the offense stalls in the playoffs, which it often does, you need somebody that can get you a basket. In the clutch moments, you need somebody who can get you a basket. At the same time, a one-dimensional offense, unless our guys are shooting lights out, it's going to be really hard to win with just Brunson either scoring, dominating the ball, and basically either scoring or driving and kicking. Yeah. If that's the extent of our offense, our guys got to be don't miss a shot. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what happened with Dallas and Luka, right? Their guys started hitting shots. They made it all the way to to the finals. It's possible. I just don't think that's the best way to get there.
You got to open it up. And OG Anunoby, he did this crazy skip Euro step yesterday. I was like, oh my God, please don't hurt your hamstring on that one. He did it.
Dang.
Nah, it was a real awkward looking one, man. It was a crazy Euro step. If you watch
we definitely don't want him to be like Kwahi Leonard with the injuries now.
Yeah, man. Easy, man. It's just 2 points. Relax.
Only OG, you think he's going to get hurt by doing an actual basketball move. Like, he didn't fall or nothing. He just did a move and you thought he was going to get hurt?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
But that was a move, though.
That
was an insane Euro step.
Right.
Yeah. Jarrell, what's your thoughts on OG's offense, how it's blossoming, and it doesn't seem like his defense is taking a step back? Do you see a little Kawhi in his, and if not now, do you see him on that trajectory?
I absolutely hate this question. Like, we're Knicks fans. Like, it's almost like Knicks fans. Knicks can't have good things. Like, we can't just appreciate the players that we got. We got to turn him into arguably one of the best two-way players in NBA history. People call him the baby claw. No, he does not remind me of Kawhi Leonard, man. He just plays defense and, robotic in his movements a little bit like Kawhi. But other than that, he is not Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is an OG. They're not completely two different players because they play defense, obviously. But yeah, they're not the same player. I don't see OG like that at all. He will have to be way more aggressive on the offensive end, more than he has been this season. Like, I know he's been doing it well for the past few games, or more than a few games, but yeah, I need way more, tape than that. I don't want to compare him to somebody that's going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot. We shouldn't even, I don't think we should even be having these conversations as Knicks fans. But it's like saying, we never asked about much as Jalen Brunson scores and what he does in the fourth quarter. I'm not comparing him to Allen Iverson yet.
Some people have.
They should.
People have.
They should not.
But right. But yet. I mean, he's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But do you see that type of trajectory for him?
Wait, stop. People who watch Allen Iverson play think Jalen Brunson is there already?
Well, I'll tell you some similarities I've heard. The scoring and the fact that we might need to bring a point guard in and move Brunson over to 2. So I've had that discussion with people as well. Can you win with Jalen Brunson as a point guard? Or do you have to play him off the ball? And that's what happened with Allen Iverson. So they're both undersized point guards that can get a bucket.
Right. They still should not be compared right now, to me.
There's can get a bucket, and then there's Allen Iverson getting a bucket. It's.
I guess maybe that's what I'm saying. Like, we're comparing these players to not just all-stars at this point.
Maybe people forget how good Allen Iverson was.
Well, and I think a lot of people forget how good Kawhi Leonard has been over his career.
I know Steph don't forget how good Allen Iverson was.
She hasn't. That's one of her best.
That's one of her all-time favorites.
Yeah. And I don't have a lot of them. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony, by the way. He's not on my Mount Rushmore of players, but he was one of the players I loved watching. I would stay up late to watch him. And when he went to Portland, I just love his game, how smooth it is. And I could just watch. He's like poetry in motion. I could just watch him play, whether the Knicks are winning or not. I just love to watch him play. But back to OG, I agree with you guys. The skill set may be similar, but it's not just the skill set. It's about how you deploy that skill set. And the thing about Kawhi Leonard is he's doing what OG is doing in this small sample size, for a longer period of time. He's done it in the playoffs as well. And I think there's a difference between doing what you do when you're at the top of the scouting report, right? And which is what Kawhi at the top of the scouting report, and he's still doing it. And OG got shut down it's just one game, got shut down in the second half versus Cleveland. So I appreciate the fact that they're two very good two-way players, but it's not out the realm of possibility that OG Anunoby takes another step offensively. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Like, Kawhi wasn't always Kawhi. Right?
No, but
he wasn't always
in
Kawhi.
The playoffs multiple times to championship effect, and that's a big shoe to step into.
I understand, but before he was there, where was he?
He was a second-year player or third-year player, though, at that time.
Yeah, he was like 22. I think that's the point. Like, he was just young until he, Yeah. But I get it, though. Like, I mean,
all I'm saying is that he can have another level in him. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, he can have another level in him.
Yeah.
Because look at him now. If you would have asked us before the start of the season, we would have said, look, OG's been in the league, I don't know how many years. He's who he is. Nobody wouldn't have expected what we're seeing now, right? He's who he is. And look what we're seeing. So there's nothing to say it can't continue. So that second half versus Cleveland was not encouraging. I will tell you that.
We big it up OG in the last calf that he played. He was absolutely terrible. So
right.
But we bigging him up on the show right after that. That's crazy.
I'll say this though, Queen. If he does have an increase in his production in the playoffs, I think it makes this team a whole lot more dangerous. That's what I'll say. I don't know that it's there. I haven't seen any evidence that points to yes, he's definitely going to do that. Because as you say, playoffs completely different animal. What we've seen in the Indiana game 3, we know he's capable of performances like that. And when he's cooking, if he's cooking and we've got all these other ingredients on the stove, we're gonna make a tasty meal. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, OG might press Bridges. A lot of us think, myself included, that Bridges has a higher ceiling. That Bridges is the third option on this team. But you're right, Jeff. I forgot all about that. I think that was the game he got hurt. He had 28 points before he got hurt, and he was looking like somebody else.
Right.
He was Superman. I mean, they couldn't stop him. He had like 28 points in like 25 minutes or something like that. Something crazy like that before he got hurt.
All I'm saying is, don't put it out the realm of possibility that OG Anunoby takes another step. That's all I'm saying.
Speak it into existence.
Right.
You know,
I'm pretty sure we were going to talk about him again on the show. Everybody going to say how dumb we were.
if he plays that way, our chances of beating Cleveland go up to maybe 38.
We got a 38 out of that, Jay. We good.
Oh my goodness.
I would love for us to beat Cleveland for real, though.
Yeah. I think that the Knicks' chances of securing the third seed are pretty high, right? They're compared to their chances of the fourth seed, correct?
Absolutely.
It would be tough for them not to end up in the third seed right now.
Okay.
We're 3 games up with 6 to play. That's pretty solid. So to put that in perspective, if we go 3-3 or 2-4, let's just say, and the Pacers go 4-2, we still get it. You know what I mean? And that's not us playing. And I think we have at least 3 winnable games left on our schedule. But what I'd really like to see is us lock that up this weekend, get a couple wins, and maybe the Pacers lose. And then next week we can just kind of coast. Like have it clinched and have a week where we can just breathe.
Yeah, well, let's see if Tibbs know what that means. If we clinch the third seed, though, what would you like to see the rest of the way in terms of player minutes? Are you a proponent of resting guys, not even starting them? Giving guys days off, alternating days off, or play it out? Ajay, we'll start with you. Oh, Jarrell, go ahead. You want to?
No. Ajay can go for it. Cool.
No, you got it, Jarrell. You sure?
I was just going to, like, you're saying what we would want to do or what we think Tibbs is going to do?
What you would want to do and what you think Tibbs will do.
I would sit everybody except for Jalen Brunson, just because he's coming back. I wouldn't sit Mitch either. But like OG and Bridges, with all the miles that they have on their legs this year, I'm sitting him. I'm definitely sitting Cat, because Cat is up there limping anyway. He seemed like he only got one knee out there anyway. So if we clinch the third, I might not clinch the third seat and sit Cat anyway. I think he be running up the court limping. Like, we need him for the playoffs. Like, if Cat goes down, I think we're in major trouble when it comes to the playoffs. So, I'd rest people, but do I think Tibbs is going to do that? No, I don't think Tibbs is going to do that. Like, I think Tibbs is going to. I think the rotation is going to be the same. I don't think he's going to change at all.
All right. Okay.
I would do the same, Jarrell. Just like Jarrell, I would sit Cat. I would sit Bridges, and I would sit OG Anunoby and Brunson. Brunson, you'd give him some burn, but limited. Like
right.
Enough for him to get in the flow, but not enough for him to aggravate that ankle. Right.
Right. That's what I meant.
I think Tibbs might do that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he might do that. Listen, we've seen him kind of do similar, like, because at some point, a couple of years back, I know he was playing I don't remember the situation if we had injuries, but he was playing Obi and IQ. Like, he was playing those kids a lot of minutes at the end of the season. So I think he might do that this time around. I think he understands that these guys, they need to be fresh for the playoffs. So I believe he's going to sit them if we clinch that third spot.
Any concern about lack of rhythm? I mean, we're going to have probably a week off during play-in. Any concern about lack of rhythm with JB coming back? Just totally resting guys and them just not playing at all for 3 games or so?
Yeah, but they no, not at all, because they have some time off before the playoffs. Remember, we're not going to be in the play-in, so there's going to be a few days off, and work on timing, man. Practice. I understand practice is not the same as the actual game, but these guys are professionals. That's how they get ready for the games, is by practicing. So you run some practice, you run sets, you get in the gym and you get ready for the playoffs. That's what most teams do. Because between the end of the season and those top teams who are in the playoffs, they sit for like a week. Like nobody else.
No, I don't. A week? I don't see teams sitting their starters for a week.
No, Queen. I'm saying for the play-in to happen, those teams they sit around for a week. Between the top teams that are not in the play-in.
Oh, I see. Yes.
So
Gotcha.
they sit around for almost a week waiting for the play-in to happen.
Right.
Before they do they fall out of rhythm? No.
If you don't play at all the week before that, you might. Like, I don't think you can. Like,
Yeah,
I kind of like the idea of maybe reducing a minutes load, or if one player like Cat is on a bum knee, you just rest him, a day or so, but or give one starter a day off per game or something like that. But I'm not completely in the just sit everybody category, because I think if you sit, you lose the rhythm of the game. You're not in as good of you're just not as crisp. You're not as sharp. So I don't want everybody to sit like for 3 straight games plus have a week off. I don't think that's good. But I think that you can play the young kids a lot more. You just put your starters in enough to get lathered up, to get a rhythm, to work on some things to play. And maybe it's just the first half. Who knows? However you want to do it. And like I said, if someone's a little bit dinged up, you sit them that night, because that way you're not further risking injury. And so I definitely think Brunson's going to need a couple games to get back into shape. Robinson needs as much court time as we can get him, because it takes him, I don't know what the conditioning is with my guy Mitch, but it takes him a long time to get up and get right. Maybe we can have more birthdays for him. He seems to play well when it's his birthday. He had 14, and 2 on his birthday. So maybe we just need to tell him every day that it's his birthday and have a cake for him and a party. And then he comes out and got 14, and 2. And then we're going to the
tie some balloons to the back of his chair on the bench.
That's right. There you go.
I think I'm with you, Jeff. I think I'm with you. I do think some reps are important. If they play like 26 minutes or something like that, and Precious and Shamit and Kolick and Beauchamp, whoever you want, gets more minutes during that time. But to just sit for 2 weeks, 3 games, the last 3 games of the season, and then have a week off. I don't know. And then the other thing is Brunson has been out. So I think he needs some minutes to kind of get back in his rhythm. But I think he needs those minutes with the guys that he's playing with. We don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know what Brunson is going to look. Is he going to go back to being the Brunson we saw the first 40 games of the season, which would mesh very well with how we're playing now? Is he going to go back to being the Brunson of after the All-Star break, which means everybody now has to make adjustments? I don't know. I think they need to play with Brunson. I think they do need to play with Brunson. I don't think it needs to be the regular 37, 38 minutes, though. But
we should definitely sit Cat, though. I think we should sit Cat. Let him get right.
Yeah, if it's medical, then sit him by all means. Like, Listen to the medicals. Don't trot a guy out there on one leg. I mean, if he's not 100% and you've got everything clinched, there's no sense in risking that. But if the guy's cleared medically to play, then give him 24, 25 minutes, give him a chance to get back in rhythm with Brunson, just like Queen said. I think that's the smart way to do it.
And sit some guys. Maybe one game you sit in OG. Maybe another game you sit in Bridges. Maybe you sit in Cat, like to your point, the entire time. Keith Turner says sit Cat for. Oh man,
up the court. That's why he hold his knee every game. Ain't look bad, man.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about Mitchell Robinson. Played well against Philly. I know some will say it was against Philly, who's been decimated by injuries. Given what we've seen from Mitchell Robinson since he's returned from injury, what can we expect from him in the playoffs? So what are you expecting from him in the playoffs? Jarrell, let's start with you.
Okay. I actually am getting a little bullish on Mitch, man. He actually looks way better to me now coming off this injury. I'm talking about like in shape wise than he did the last time. Like, Mitch looks slimmer than he did before.
Absolutely.
And he's getting his rhythm back, because rhythm isn't just about shooting. Like, Mitch still had to, come into his own on this team just like everybody else. Like, it's a lot of new players on this roster, for Mitch. So I actually think Mitch is going to do well in this playoff. Hopefully, knock on wood, he stays healthy. But as long as Mitch is healthy, I think he's going to play very well.
Yeah. Ajay and then Jeff.
Mitch, the only, I mean, I still feel like some games the timing is still off. And I would expect him at this point to, he's been playing. So I noticed Tibbs have ramped up his minutes a little bit. So they gradually bringing him on and bringing him up to regular speed. But I feel like the timing's still off because, he's defensive minded. I have no problem with his offense. Whatever little bit of offense he gives us is pretty good because he's done a couple of little moves that we haven't seen from Mitch, since he's been in the league. But defensively, he's still a little bit off. Hopefully, he can get that going before the playoff. Somebody mentioned that when we play Cleveland, they, maybe in the third quarter they went like 8 for 8 in the paint. That would not have happened if Mitch was there. Probably right. Even just the intimidation factor would push them away. Would discourage them from doing that. But I feel like once the timing get back to what it needs to be, I think he's going to be he's going to be like super helpful to this team. And the free throws, he's not shooting those beelines no more, man. He's shooting good free throws right now. So hopefully that gets to keep him on the floor when we need him, at late in the games or late in the quarters.
How many minutes would you guess he's going to play? I put it this way: do you think he's going to play about what he's playing now, or you guess he's going to play more?
It depends. It depends on if Tibbs shrank his rotation. I still think he's going to go 9. You guys think he's going to go 8. I think he's going to go 9. And if he goes 9, I think he's going to play just about the same minutes he plays now. He's playing right now. Okay. I think we go in 9-man rotation this time. And
so pretty much what the bench is now, Mitch. Oh, so that would be. So is that Precious or Shamet?
Shamet. And Precious might. It depends on foul trouble. Shamet would. Not Precious is going to see minutes if somebody's in foul trouble. So, which is probably going to happen because Cat, he picks up these fouls. So we're probably going to see a little bit of Precious just to fill in those minutes that Cat is in foul trouble.
Yeah. Almighty Finesse, appreciate you dropping by. Been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Jeff, what's your expectations of Mitch in the playoffs?
I'm encouraged. I think the fact that his offensive rebounding percentage is the highest it's ever been in his career is a definite sign that he's on the upswing, because he's been like a rocket ship as far as every season he's been better at that, and he continues to improve in that aspect, and so that's very encouraging to me. The free throw shooting, if all God's miracles, large and small, he went 4 for 4 in a game. Like I don't, that should make a believer out of everyone, as far as I'm concerned. Not in his free throw shooting, but in that there is a God. He's an enigma. I mean, he's really just he has so many unique talents, and in certain matchups he can absolutely change a game for you. And then in other matchups, he can absolutely change a game for you in the way you don't want it. And so I actually think he'll probably be about 20 minutes a game. I think when Towns is in foul trouble, we'll see him a little bit more. I think you'll see those two on the court a little bit together, but not a whole lot. And so I think if he's healthy, he should be in about the 20-minute range, and there won't be any back-to-back situations. So I don't think there's going to be a game where he's going to sit entirely. So I think that I think that they're ramping him up smartly, and I think he'll be ready to go for normal rotation minutes. And the way this team is constructed, I don't think it's really built for Mitchell Robinson, to be honest with you. I think that they've kind of philosophically moved beyond what Mitch does in some ways, but I think he can help this team because the rim protection and paint deterrence is something that he provides that nobody else on the roster does. And so from that standpoint, I really think that he's a wild card and X factor. And when you get in those times when you need a defender out on the floor and you need to get a stop, Thibodeau has a lot of options as far as a defensive lineup is concerned. And even before Brunson got hurt, you saw him taking Brunson and Towns off the floor in those need a stop situations and subbing offense for defense. And I think that you're going to see that some in the playoffs as well, especially if he has timeouts at his disposal. I think you're going to see if I need to get a stop here, I'm going to trust Mitchell Robinson and my wings and either Deuce probably, and just that's a difficult lineup to score on. So I think for it allows that situational versatility that you need
Correct.
in the playoffs.
Yeah. And aside from the rim protection and paint deterrent is offensive rebounds and second chance points when the Knicks aren't shooting well. I mean, we're more, to your point, we play a different style. We rely on different things to win now than we did when Mitchell Robinson was a prominent part of the team. But we can still use offensive rebounds and second chance points, particularly on nights when the Knicks aren't shooting well. To Ajay's point, though, I don't know if his stamina is there yet, where you know what you're gonna get from Mitchell Robinson every single game. I don't know if he's there yet. I think the performances have been uneven, right? So some games is like, there you go, that's him, and then other games you're like,
Where we go.
well, like, did they just snatch that rebound over Mitchell Robinson? So. And I'm not seeing this clear trajectory in terms of how he looks from game, from game to game. But there are games when he has those flashes, and you're like, "That's it, right there." So I don't know what to expect from Mitch in terms of each game where he's going to be. I like the fact that there aren't back to backs, so we'll have his services. How he plays in those games, I just don't know. But we have that rotational versatility, and now it's on Tom Thibodeau to, try to make it happen. I think it's tough. I've said this before. You optimize the lineups for defense, offense takes a little hit. You optimize the lineups for offense, the defense takes a little hit. And so there are times, and I see Tom Thibodeau, there's times like, oh, we got a lead right now. Let me put in this defensive unit, the brick unit, I call them. And, they do okay. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. Anything else about Mitchell Robinson and our expectations for him in the playoffs? JJ, but I don't see how Mitch would impact a Celt. Listen. And Wally said this last night on the telecast that the playoffs are all about matchups. He said there was, in the playoffs, there was a series where he wouldn't play at all. And then another series where he played every game. So maybe Mitch doesn't play as much in the Celtics series, but maybe he plays 25 minutes every game if we were to meet Cleveland, right? So matchups do matter. East Blue Drew, the defensive lineups be saving us a lot, though. Sometimes last night they put that defensive lineup in and they scored 6 straight points, and we weren't able to
counter.
Right. He still should be getting in the groove. Okay. All right, East Blue. Enough. There's other people in the chat. I just keep clicking on your name. Nostalgic Nick minutes. They will preserve Mitch because he might be a trade asset. I don't know if they're preserving him. Does anybody think that they would limit his minutes in the playoffs because he might be traded in the summer?
No, that's not Thibodeau's style at all. If he thinks Robinson's going to help him win games, he's going to be out on the floor. If he doesn't think Robinson's going to help him win games, then he's not going to be out on the floor. That's like he's trying to win every single game. He's not thinking about front office maybe thinking about that, but I guarantee you that coach is not entering coach's mind for a second on any of our roster, by the way. And he's not saying, well, we might trade this guy next year, so I'm not playing. No, he's like, what do I have to do to win this game today?
Yeah.
I think because Mitch is so injury prone, I think if they would have did that, they wouldn't have been playing him at all.
Agreed. That's a great point, Jarrell.
They would have told him to stay home.
Not 1 minute. We're not playing you not 1 minute. Bubble wrap.
It happens it actually happens all the time in the NBA. A lot of these fake injuries that be going on at the end of the season, like Zion Williamson, I think Zion Williamson is 100% healthy. So is CJ McCollum. They bench both of them for the rest of the season. Like it happens all the time.
Yeah. Thune got it. I guess I said that right. The Cavs were 10 for 10 in the paint in the third. Mitch would not let that happen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else about Mitch in the playoffs? Any between Detroit, Milwaukee? It seems like we're not sure. We might be locked in the third, relatively so. Strongly, we'll probably finish third. That 6th spot is still up for grabs, right? Between Milwaukee and Detroit. Am I correct?
Yeah, they're neck and neck. It's
yeah.
And Indiana doesn't seem like a likely opponent. So it's pretty much talking about, are we going to play Milwaukee or are we going to play Detroit?
Any preference and why?
I don't care. Just go, whoever it is, go play your best. I know Jay Boogie said Milwaukee can't handle us. I hope he's right. He usually is. He's a smart guy, but no, I don't play that. Like, playoffs are a new season. The regular season matchups don't matter that much. We'll get to see the Pistons one more time in the last 6 games, and Milwaukee. Milwaukee may have injury issues, and Milwaukee really has no way to guard Jalen Brunson if he's healthy. So that is a nice factor, I think, if you're talking about matchup wise. So I think that would be a favorable matchup for us. But on the other hand, Giannis is a wild card that nobody on the Pistons can recreate. I mean, the guy's a former MVP, and he's, if he's right, he can win a series on his own. Like, that's just how good he is. Like, he can take over a game quickly. And so, the yin and the yang. The Pistons don't have a lot of playoff experience, and the Knicks do. So I think we would have an edge there. But Kate Cunningham is a problem. We would definitely have to figure out how to put a man on Malik Beasley the entire game and not let him just shoot 19 for 16 from three like he has been every other matchup we've had against him this season. But I think playoff experience matters, and I think if we get into a series with Detroit, I think that we can shrink the floor and we can make things difficult on them. And I think that Thibodeau outcoached Bickerstaff in the playoffs once before, so I have confidence that he can do it again. And I'm not sure that there's any other matchup in the playoffs I can say that definitively about. Like Doc Rivers I'm not a huge Doc Rivers fan though, so I think he blows leads in the playoffs a lot more often than he's won a championship. So, but he does have a championship. But at this point, just lace him up and go, and let the chips fall where they may. I think we should win either series if it's Milwaukee or Detroit.
Right now, they're both tied 42 and 54. Milwaukee must have the tiebreaker because they're in fifth and Detroit is in sixth. And Milwaukee has won two. Detroit has lost two. Detroit 5-5 over their last 10. Milwaukee 4-6. So they're neck and neck. It could be either one of them. Any preference, Jarrell?
No, not for me, especially since Dame went down. I don't really have a preference. I think in the playoffs, it's going to be right. Yeah, I guess that's part of my point too. What Keith just put on. I think since it's the playoff, every team or every series is going to be rough. Like it's the playoffs, so I don't think we'll lose against either one. So I'm not really worried about which one we play out of those two. I think we match up pretty well with both of them. I'm not scared of Detroit like a lot of people are scared of Detroit just because they're athletic. Like I don't think they have anybody to stop Jalen Brunson. And I think even with Mitch, I think we match up with Detroit better because we have Mitch because of Durham. Yeah, if we didn't have Mitch, I'll probably change my mind a little bit. But since we do have somebody that can get offensive rebounds and lock down the paint a little bit, at least for 20 to 25 minutes, I think we'd match up against the Pistons. I'm not worried about either one.
I'm not worried about either one either. And no disrespect to the Pistons, up and coming team. Kate Cunningham is having one of the, a career year, early in his career, right? He's really, really coming into his own. They play tough defense, top 10. I don't know if things change, but as of a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, they were 8th in defensive rating. So they're a really good team. The Knicks better not go out there and lose to Detroit. Period. Point blank. Hard stop. I don't want to hear it. I just don't. I don't want to hear it.
Changes are coming if that happens.
Yeah, our shows will be entertaining.
Yeah. We got to figure out. I want to do something in the playoffs, but I haven't figured it out yet. If we want to do a pregame, or postgame, the next day, I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
And one thing about Milwaukee and Detroit, sorry to interrupt. Milwaukee and Detroit play each other in both of the last two games of the regular season. So we're not really going to know who's going to get the 5 and the 6 seed until probably the final day of the season, unless things change. They're pretty much tied right now, and they face each other twice. So even if one team builds up the lead, the other one can still come back.
Right. Why are you worried about Detroit, D. Grant? And those who are worried about Detroit, put it in the chat why you're worried. Why are you worried about them? Or is it, what have the Knicks showed you that make you think that they are going to be able to shut down all of our scorers and that we're not going to be able to defend them? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not Detroit or Milwaukee. I think the Knicks win the series. Ajay, do you have any preference?
I don't care. Either one of them. There are two teams I'm worried about: Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers. Everybody else is, as far as I'm concerned, the same thing. Doesn't matter. I think either whoever we play in the first round, we go into the second round.
Right.
I mean, I
Detroit
don't.
has the better. Well, listen, when the Knicks played Cleveland and Bickerstaff was the coach, we won that series. So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Tibbs
Um,
beat him already.
yeah. Um, what's Bickerstaff's playoff record as well? What's Atkinson's playoff? Atkinson's playoff record is 200. Now, it's only 5 games. You know what I mean? But that says something too, right? So I mean, I think we got to give the coaches if a coach is having a great season, they're a great coach. Bickerstaff's having a great season. He's a great coach. He got fired from Cleveland. Last season. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. I'm just saying we go by the records too much. All right. Detroit is physical. I believe they will make it hard for Brunson because of their length. The way the Pistons played SGA in that game pretty much shut him down in 3/4. Yeah, but that's the thing about the Knicks. You shut down Brunson, other guys have to step up. If you're shutting down Brunson, you're not shutting down Brunson with one guy, right? So that means there's some sort of scheme. Maybe you're shading, you're trapping, you're crowding. Move the ball. Somebody's going to be open. Like this team right now is not just Brunson, and I think when we play like that, we're easier to guard. So that's going to be on the Knicks to figure out, who's that open guy. And guys got to step up. Guys have to step up in the playoffs.
I think if the Knicks are healthy and we lose to Detroit, it's a massive, massive disappointment.
Yep. Everybody's up for question.
Massive disappointment.
Even
I know people are scared of Detroit, but they're not a better basketball team than us. So if we lose to them, yeah, some got to change.
Ajay, what's the percentage
for Detroit? For Detroit, we beat or Milwaukee. I mean, there's probably 85% chance we beat them.
85, okay,
absolutely,
like that. Okay, I'm about to say 85. That's high as hell.
Yeah, that's high. New York Knicks are better than both of those teams.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, like Queen just said, it would be a disaster if we lose to either one of those teams. As a matter of fact, it'd be a disaster if the series make it to Game 7.
Yeah, correct.
I got Knicks in 5.
I got Knicks in 5 as well.
If everybody's healthy.
Yeah. Greg, relax. Moses Brown, I don't care if he scores 59 points and grabs 60. If he has a Wilt Chamberlain type. Moses Brown is not getting any light on the New York Knicks. He's just not.
At this point, he can't, right?
He can't now.
Yeah, he can't anyway. Like, we can't sign anybody else, not to be on the playoff roster. Like, this is the team. Like, it's over. It's a wrap. Like, TJ Warren ain't coming.
We're gonna be losing guys. I think because Bo Champs is 2 ways, so he can't be on the roster.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying Moses Brown is not talented. He is. But the Knicks aren't the only team that hasn't signed him. Right? The Knicks aren't the only team. So yeah, I'm not getting all, up in a roar because the Knicks haven't signed Moses Brown. That's just me. I mean, if you guys feel differently, by all means, share your.
Greg's upset about that.
Right, Tip should be fired because they haven't brought up Moses Brown. Listen,
let's start a petition.
Yeah. Why sign PJ Tucker over Moses? Because you're probably going to get more from PJ Tucker than you're going to get from Moses Brown. And I'm not talking about stats. Moses Brown is not going to play, right? So he's going to be on the bench, and you're not going to get anything from him. PJ Tucker has the experience, of playing in the playoffs, being on championship teams, and he has a reputation of being a leader in the locker room. And the Knicks value that. And they value that contract. If they want to use it in the off season. So I'm fine with the PJ Tucker signing because I do think. Listen, and I've said this on Queens Court. Denver, when they won that championship, they talked about Jeff Green and they talked about
DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan. And they talked about how having them in that locker room really helped them. And I always said that the Knicks need somebody like that. I wanted the Knicks to sign Jeff Green just for that, even if he never played, just to have that type of presence in the locker room. And to me, I think that's more valuable than Moses Brown, who doesn't have the trust of Tom Thibodeau, and I don't think would see any minutes anyway. So that's just me. But Ajay, Jeff, Jarrell, your thoughts on PJ Tucker over a Moses Brown or even a TJ Warren?
See, it's hard. Like, I'm never probably going to argue over players that's not going to play. Like, we've been through that 1,000 times. Like, Moses Brown isn't going to get any minutes. I don't think PJ Tucker is going to get any minutes either. So when you have players on the bench that's not going to get minutes, it's always better to have a veteran than somebody, that's a little younger. Like, I get it. Moses Brown is putting up numbers in the G League, and he looks like a shiny new toy compared to, what we have in PJ Tucker. But when it comes to experience and stuff like that, PJ Tucker will always be picked on our NBA roster over Moses Brown, just for that reason.
Jack? Or Ajay, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say only thing though. I don't need PJ Tucker hugging up on Draymond Green.
Oh no, we hate that.
After Draymond Green done diss my guy. Queen,
yeah, PJ could have walked the other way. I ain't like that at all.
Listen, hug him up before the game. After the game, man, go straight to the locker room with your boys, with your teammates. But that's it. Jeff,
I don't really care about the 14th, 15th roster spot. Like, it literally doesn't. Like, if either one of those guys is actually called upon in a game, it means things have either gone horrifically wrong or we're blowing a team out by like 70 points. So, like, are you talking about on the court impact in a valuable series, like in an important high pressure series? I don't think either one matters significantly. And I think that the fact that the Knicks kept PJ Tucker around means that he's well liked in the locker room. So I think those kind of glue guys are important, and he has experience. And the more guys you have with championship experience, the better, because you have guys who have done it and who have been there and who have won semifinal series and gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Western Conference Finals or whatever the case may be. But I just think that that kind of leadership and experience is valuable from a player perspective, because sometimes when you're a player, you'll listen to a peer better than you will your coach. That's human nature, I think. And so, I think he's helpful to have on the team. If it was Moses Brown instead, if it was Moses from the Bible instead, I don't think it would.
Greg said that I'm hating on Moses Brown when he's way better than Mitch. Listen, my issues with Mitchell Robinson on the offensive end is well chronicled. Not on the defensive end, on the offensive end is well chronicled. I'm not taking Moses Brown over Mitchell Robinson. Listen, we're acting like Moses Brown is a prospect that's only been in the league 2 years. This is his 6th year, or 6th or 7th year. I don't know. Jarrell, you think he's better than? I mean, he may have a better skill set than Mitch. Don't get me. He may have a better skill set than Mitch, but is he a better player? Like, would his impact be as high as Mitch's impact on this team?
No.
I don't think so.
Especially since Mitch is the isn't Mitch the longest running Nick on the roster?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, they're always going to pick Mitch over Moses Brown. Like, this conversation is actually getting weird. To be honest, like, I think Moses Brown, we almost spent too much time on Moses Brown now. We spent more time on Moses Brown than we did on Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
And especially
Okay.
since Moses Brown can't be on the roster right now. Like, it's almost like it's a moot point. Like, we're talking about players we can't add now.
I would play Precious at center over Moses Brown.
I would too.
And I'm not. This.
I don't know. Hold on, Steph. Like, let's not get crazy. I don't know. Hold on. Like, don't get me on their side before the show ends, Steph. Like, I don't know. That's tough. Because Moses Brown, I don't think Moses Brown is some bum or anything like that.
I don't think he's a bum, but he's a G League player that you would be putting in a situation in the playoffs. I don't know. I think I get you with Precious. Listen, how many times we had our little chat and I'm texting Ajay and I'm like, come on, what's going on with Precious? Like, he's just throwing the ball over the backboard. Like, what is going on?
He airballing 3-footers.
Oh my! Like, listen, I got my own issues, but I feel like in the playoffs, you want to vet. You if you going into the playoffs and Mitch gets hurt and Moses Brown is your backup, like, I don't know. I'm not saying he won't play well, but I wouldn't be feeling comfortable. Yeah. But Jarrell said he would.
I didn't say that. I said, I don't know.
And
like
Randall as well. He would take Brown over Precious. Okay.
I guess maybe because at center is the key.
Mm-hmm.
At center, maybe because of the position. But we, like I said before, we're talking about, third and fourth string centers now. So in a league that don't have that many centers, like with the teams that we're playing, like say when we play Boston, neither one of them is playing.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Greg, I know he had a nice game against Dallas. It's one game. Like, do you know what I mean? And he's putting up these numbers in the G League. I mean, listen, I relax, relax. Would I like to have Randall back if it's possible on this team? With Cat. With Cat? Jarrell, you said no?
Nah. For one, I don't see how it could be possible. And two, where would he fit? Not, I guess maybe because of OG.
Oh, yeah, so, I'm not. Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
Maybe he'd play a 4. He'd play the 4.
Who?
Randall. But yeah, nah.
And then move OG to 3, and
move OG to 3. No, but that you'd be better off get somebody like Rui Hachimura or Finney Smith or one of those guys.
Right. Y'all thought our defense was bad before, but you want to put Randall at the 4 and Cat at the 5?
Woo.
Okay.
Hey, Randall play defense sometimes.
We talked about Moses before. It's going to be a Red Sea parting in there somewhere. Like, no way. I don't see it.
Yeah. Let me just answer Greg. Yeah, I did talk shit about Deuce. And when I talk shit about Deuce, there was shit to talk about Deuce. He wasn't playing well. He was shooting 28% from the field.
He was playing like shit.
He was playing like shit. And all Knicks fans was acting all thirsty and like they hadn't drank in like 2 years because he played good defense. He couldn't run a team and he couldn't shoot the ball. I just called it as I saw it. I didn't say Deuce would never be a good player. I said at that time, I don't see what everybody else was seeing. So yeah, I did talk shit about Deuce. And I was on point, in my opinion, at that time. Yeah. But he's playing well for us. And that's good. That's why I don't get all up in the raw over rookies. See me in year 3. Everybody is all up in arms over Porty and Daddy A and Kolek. Listen, I've been around Clay Anthony Early, Ntilikina, Knox. I could probably go back even further than that. I'm not getting all up in the raw over these rookies. See me in year 3.
Man,
That's it.
Yeah,
And everybody talks about Deuce. Deuce played 7 G League games. Like everybody is all over. He was such a great. He played 7 games. He was more on an NBA roster than he was in the G League, right? Check it out. You know, because I said that. I was like, wow. Let me see how he played 7 G League games. Come on, let's relax.
Queen, you went back to Clay Anthony Early, man.
I mean,
just that name hurt.
You know how many bombs is on that list she could have named?
Yo, and remember,
we could still be calling people.
Right, Alonzo Trier. Like I remember all of these guys. Right, who played so well. You know, and Knicks fans all up in arms. Who's in the league now? Clay Anthony Early is not. Knox is hanging on by a thread. Ntilikina is out the league. I mean, like, come on. Like, listen, see me in year 3.
Please believe me, when there was a Ron Baker hive, I remember.
Oh, and when the Knicks gave him 16, I'm like, for what? For what? Oh, you bringing it back. You bringing it back. You bringing that Baker signing. I was like, come on.
I thought he was Mark Price, Steph. I thought he was Mark Price at one point. We always got highs, man. D. Grant said Emmanuel Mudiay. Remember we were supposed to get him right? Remember?
Yeah.
Emmanuel Mudiay.
We gonna get you right. Yeah.
Right out of the league.
Right. He went right out of the league.
Rolando Blackman. I mean, come on. Like
Lou Amundsen. Oh, Lou Amundsen. I remember Lou.
The man bun himself. Lou Amundsen.
With the ponytail.
Ilo Quinn.
Dean Allen. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's why I can't get. I'm too. But he was on Philly though. He played with us though. But wasn't he? He
was a journeyman. Dallenberg played a lot of places. Never but he played a lot of places.
Langston Galloway got a couple of good games, and everybody.
Langston Galloway. See, he
was solid. He was solid.
He had a couple of good games, and everybody lost their mind. When he left the team, there's like, oh my God, the front office, they don't know what they're doing.
That's who I was thinking of.
Alexi said, right? Remember him? Yep.
Yeah. I liked Alexi too. But this was more. He wasn't necessarily a young player. This was Fizdale, right? When they brought in these reclamation projects, right?
Well, Super Mario, he was not. He was still a little young. He wasn't old when he got to us.
But remember, he blocked that shot on LeBron James and won us that game.
Yeah.
The Mario Hazonia moment.
That's true. Like they were like bringing in like reclamation projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ham, Moutier, a few other. Yeah, you're right.
Alexi said, man, I remember him.
Yeah.
John Wallace, go back a little ways.
Yeah, for sure. Ron Baker was going to take us there. You couldn't tell me. See? Ron Baker, man, people thought he was nasty. I was like, man, it was like a 4-year, 16. I was like, yo, what?
I think it was $6 million. I don't think it was 16.
It was too much, whatever it was.
It was too much.
Whatever it was way too much.
Even not forget about the money. The 4 years was too much. At 4 years, whatever. I don't
think it was 4 years, $6 million. Was it? I don't think it was 4 years, $6 million. It was 4 years, like $4 million a year or something like that. Anyway, somebody look up the contract for Ron Baker, right? Google got the nice AI now. You ask a question, they just gather all the information for you.
What are you talking about Ron Baker's contract? Is it midnight?
It's after 11. It's 11:09.
11:09.
Anything is liable to go down.
Brazikis.
Arizona dunked on Giannis too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. I think that's all I have. We'll do a playoff update because I do want to talk about what the success looked like for the New York Knicks in the playoffs, but we'll save that. I just want to do one last thing, and I really hate to talk about trades during the season when the Knicks have yet to play one playoff game already. And even us on the show last week, we were talking about what we're going to do in the offseason, other content creators. I'm like, wow, we haven't even played a playoff game yet. So the rumor is that the Knicks had interest in KD at the trade deadline. I just think they were doing their due diligence as every team does. And Sham said that they may revisit that in the offseason. For me, I have no qualms with KD. I do think that the Knicks are at a place where they don't have to look at age. You know, your championship window is now. So I don't think you have to worry about whether a guy is too old. Can they play, basically? But I'm not willing to give up anything for KD. I know some people would be willing to give up Bridges tomorrow, you know, for KD. It would take a lot from what I'm hearing to bring him here. It's not something I'm interested in. Jarrell? And who would you be willing to give up?
Yeah,
Because that's the key. That's the key.
I was about to say that's really the question, because it's not like what I want KD. It's not about if I want him. If he's on the team, you know, I think we're better. It's Kevin Durant, for God's sakes, but
we are better.
Yeah, we're definitely better. It's Kevin Durant. I don't care. He was 45. We'll still be better. Like Kevin Durant, I don't care what nobody say. Yeah, but like you said, it all depends on who you're giving up. Like, you would have to give up pieces. We don't have that many draft picks, so like it would have to be. See how Bridges gonna be traded for KD twice. That would be funny, but I wouldn't want to give up OG, and I wouldn't want to give up Bridges, but one of them would have to go. And if one of them has to go, it would have to be Bridges.
But Bridges ain't making the money. OG is.
We're gonna have to.
You probably could just add a little something to OG, but I'm not giving up OG.
Yeah, I'm not giving up OG. We're gonna have to figure something out salary wise for the money to match. But yeah, I would give up Bridges if I have to give up Bridges. Josh Hart might be both of them.
Bridges and Hart.
If they want,
would that even make
Bridges, Hart, and Deuce? Like, it's going to take some pieces. Like, we're going to have to.
Yeah, we will be starting Moses Brown, because we ain't gonna have no money to get anybody else.
Yeah, the roster will have to be not completely flipped, but the roster will have to change again. And I wouldn't know what those changes are until we actually get KD and see who's going out of the trade. But yeah, that's not saying I would do it, but that would have to be done if we're going to get KD. So that's not something that I am rooting for, though. No, but if we get him, we get him. It's all about the price. Yeah, I'm not mad, but it's all about the price, not the player.
Yeah. Ajay?
Ajay not going to see. This is not fair, because Ajay not going to want no KD just because of, he played for Brooklyn and what he said. I already know his answer. He don't want nobody from that team.
Just skip me on that one.
Yeah, like, he's not going to want.
Miss me with that one. I'm good.
Yeah, he's not. Jeff, what you think?
Sorry, I go throw up a little bit at the prospect.
Just talking about the KD.
I'm kidding. I just think the price is too high. I'm not sure that the fit is
the price
right. Like, I don't know. I feel like KD and the Suns should have been better, and I'm not just sure another change of scenery is going to be like the panacea for him. I mean, I know the numbers are fantastic. How much are you giving up? And how does I don't know. KD's fantastic. I think it's about 5 years too late, though.
His role would be different, though. Is he wouldn't have to carry the team.
True.
He wouldn't have to carry the team. If you got Brunson, Cat, and KD.
Listen, we passed the
he can still fill it up. He can still shoot the ball. I don't know. He's more of a follower than he is a leader to me. So if you're bringing him in to lead us to a championship, I don't think that's happening. If you feel like he's the ancillary piece, the guy who can fill the role that Bridges couldn't, just for an example, don't like freak out if you don't want to trade. I'm just saying like that, as that third star, obviously he can do that. He's not that young. I mean, it would be a rental. And if you make that move, you better win it all. That's what I'm saying. If you make that pivot and you shift that, you got it. You got to win it all. And they might, I don't know. I will be surprised if Durant ends up on the Knicks, but the other thing about KD is I'm not sure he's mentally tough enough to play in New York for the Knicks. Like, it's one thing to play for Brooklyn. It's one thing. It's quite another thing to have the spotlight of being on the Knicks. And like Melo, for example, took all the smoke. You give any degree of smoke to KD, and he's not about that life. I don't know. I don't know if he has the right personality to play at the Garden.
Well, he may be a bit sensitive though. So, but do you think that would affect his play? Like, I could see him maybe being a little ornery. I could see him, not taking the smoke quietly. But do you think that it would impact his performance on the court?
I don't know, but I think it could impact the atmosphere around the team. Like, I'm not saying he's gonna, like, he's as a shooter, like he's not gonna forget how to shoot the basketball because the media said something mean to him. But at the same time, he, I don't know. It's just maybe a personal preference of mine, but
if we're gonna pluck somebody away from Phoenix, can it be Devin Booker?
If you look at his numbers, he's better than Devin Booker at 36. He averages 27. He's shooting 43% from the 3-point line. Yeah, people just don't like KD because of what he said.
I was about to say, let's separate because he listened.
That's tough.
Draymond put all his whatever's going on with him and Butler, put that aside. Everybody was like, are they going to be able to play together? Listen, I think you're right in terms of him being a diva. Somebody said that he's a little sensitive. Somebody, that all of that may be true. But when you separate that from his game, he's not just a 3-point shooter. He's one of the best players to ever play this game, in my opinion. Like, in terms of his IQ, in terms of his ball handling, in terms of his passing. It's like, listen now, KD is legit. At 30, he's still one of the best players in this league. Now, would I want to give up OG for him? I would not. I just would not. But I ain't taking nothing from KD and his game right now.
The Suns are in 11th place with all his amazing skill, talent, and production.
And next to Devin Booker and Bradley.
And that's his fault?
No, I'm not saying that. But just
I mean, we're not asking him to come here and be our best player, right? I think his role matters. Like, we're not asking him to come here and be Brunson. You got Brunson, you got Towns, and you got KD. Stop, family. Let's stop. Now, I'm not saying it's something I would do, but we're not asking him to come here and carry the team. We're asking him to come here and be a piece if the Knicks were to do it.
I think Phoenix was asking him to be a piece also.
With who? He would be more than a piece. He would have to be more than a piece on that team. Bill ain't the best player on that team. Booker's not the best. Like KD got to be one of the best play. Like he has to be what? Either one or two. We're not asking him to be one or two. If he
You
came
don't
here, we
think
would
we'd
be
be
asking him to
to be 2 over Cat?
I don't think we would be. I think he might end up being, but I don't think that's something we would be asking him to do.
And even if we did, he's better than Cat too. If you look at his numbers.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't know. If they did it, I wouldn't be upset. But it's not something that I'm, wishing.
Right. I'm right, exactly. I'm just saying, put some respect on that man's name. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying that Knicks should
I'll
trade.
root for him like crazy, but I've never been a fan of Durant, and I'll root for him if I have to. But
Durant, the player, or just everything around him?
well, first of all, he went to the University of Texas. My wife's a Texas Tech person. So
you reminded me of Ajay now. Y'all.
I don't like this. But then he had he played like garbage for the Thunder. He played like garbage for the Thunder in Game 6 and Game 7 when they had the Warriors. They had the Warriors down, and then he runs off to Golden State the very next season.
Wait, Jeff, don't forget, he came to New York to meet with them. He come from all the way over there, come all the way to New York to meet with the Golden State Warriors. Dude, you're on the West Coast. Why are you coming over here? Nah, he wanted to come to New York to meet with them.
At this point, though, that was 10 years ago.
That's true.
Like we got to stop, yo. Like I get it, but it was 10 years ago.
It's
man.
chip time. You know what I mean?
Time. Like I've never seen one, fellas. Ain't never seen one.
Hey, if it brings us there, more power to you.
Right? Like as long as we win a championship, I don't care who name is on the back of that jersey. I really don't. When it comes to like my personal stuff against players and stuff, as long as they can help us win, that's all I care about at this point. If we don't get them, I'm fine. If we get them, we need to win a chip. Let's just say
it's mad emotional. Shooting is not our. I just think KD is more than shooting, though.
He's a good defender. He's a good passer. KD's got a complete game. Let's not it's just not my preference. Boy can play. Let's not get it twisted.
True.
If you have those two, and either one of OG or Bridges. But I agree with somebody in a fan that said the Knicks need to focus on the bench. Focus on the bench and focus on a two-way center.
Yeah,
I don't know where you're gonna find that.
Yeah,
I don't know where you're finding that though.
I don't think we need KD to win a championship. I just want that to be clear.
Right. Yeah.
It probably would cost you OG and Mitch, I would guess.
Yeah, see.
To make salaries work.
The Knicks wouldn't do that. Hart is 20 and Mikal is what? No, that probably wouldn't be enough either. Unless you sign
have OG to make that deal work. And I'm not saying it won't happen. I just
right.
Or maybe I don't know.
How much does Mikal make? Like 25?
He coming up though, ain't he?
Yeah, he's coming up for an extension, isn't he?
Yeah, so almost.
And they can't extend and trade him, right?
I don't think so. Not with us being over the first apron. I don't think we're allowed to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool with KD not being here. I'm just saying, like, let's not act like that's not going to help the Knicks if he were to come. Greg said if KD was on the team, he would be the number one. Wow.
Well, I don't know.
Nah. I think
I wouldn't put it past like that's possible stuff.
Yeah.
Brunson might not be good as him either. Right now. Like KD is putting up numbers still. I think you just think he's in Phoenix, they're losing and people not watching.
I don't know if I believe Brunson is better than KD. I'm just saying I don't think KD would come here and be the person that we put the ball in his hands to lead this team to a championship. But I'm not arguing, whether or not he's better than Brunson. I just think he's on the, end of his career, and I don't think I don't think him, LeBron, I just don't think that's where they are now in terms of carrying a team. But I could be wrong. Mikal is making 21.7, so that would just be 40 million with him and Hart.
So I think Mikal, Hart, and Deuce gets you pretty close, salary-wise. I don't know if they would want that deal or not, but I'm saying I think Mikal plus Hart plus Deuce gets you pretty close to KD's number.
Say that again.
Mikal, Hart, and Deuce.
Mikal, Hart, and Deuce.
That's a lot. That's I mean, where are you replacing that? That's three rotation players. That's a lot.
With a player like KD, though, you do the move first, and then you worry about that later. To be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have Moses Brown, that we could bring up.
But
I don't know
OG
how much money
and
would
Deuce
be
get
let.
close too. Like OG and Deuce, it's OG makes what Hart and Bridges make combined nearly. So OG and Deuce would get you pretty close. I don't know if that's enough to make a deal happen either, though.
Mitch instead of Hart. It would still be three, though. It would still be Mitch, Deuce, and Hart, right? I mean, Mitch, Deuce, and who was the other player you had in there?
Bridges. But I
Bridges.
think it's not enough. I think you still need another salary in there if it's Mitch, Deuce, and Bridges. But
we good.
Well, how about this? As long as Brunson, Cat, and OG aren't in the trade, everybody else is
like an expansion draft. Like which three players are you protecting?
Yeah, you will have to just look at everybody's salaries other than those three players and everybody else. Not everybody else, but it will have to be a combination of like three other players, probably. Just not them three.
That Randu, the Knicks are first apron team right now. Am I correct?
I believe so.
I don't think they're over the second apron.
If we was over the second apron, we wouldn't. Yeah, we.
But that's something that you can get around. The Knicks salary capologist or whatever you want to call Brock Aller is a wizard at finding a way to make it so that you get the. And that's by the way, that's one of the reasons we signed PJ Tucker is because if we need fungible salary in a deal, he's a minimum salary that you can throw in to make sure that you get to the number that you need to get to. So,
yeah, bolster the bench and yeah. I mean, we'll talk about all of this in the off season. Like I said, the Knicks haven't played one playoff game, but lately I've been whatever is out there, just kind of bringing it in at the tail end of the show for us to talk about. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about. Somebody said KD always been healthy. You trolling, Almighty Finesse? You trolling?
He had a pretty good run up until this last
10 years.
Nah, last year he played 75 games. I mean, this year he was doing pretty well until he, recently got hurt. But like last year he played.
And he sat out that year with the Achilles, but that was
Achilles. He was still with the Warriors, right, when the Achilles popped
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs,
yeah.
Because he had
before the Nets signed him. They signed him
while he was hurt. That's right.
Yep. So he was hurt half of his time he was with Brooklyn.
And he said, "I'm not." Okay.
Yeah, he's not always healthy. He's just been healthy these past 2 years, though.
Great question, D. Grant. Do you guys really trust OG Bridges Towns if Brunson struggles in the? Well, Brunson can't. Your best player can't struggle in the playoffs. It has happened. Don't get me wrong. It has happened. Brunson, you cannot struggle in the playoffs. You just can't.
Right. And when you say trust to do what exactly? Like win a championship if Brunson struggles, or just to get to a certain spot, like Eastern Conference Finals, something. Do I trust him to win a championship? I don't think we're going anywhere with Brunson struggles. So no.
Oh my God, guys, you guys need to calibrate your expectations that we're gonna win the first round. That's definite. And then let's just be very competitive in the second round, okay? And be happy with that.
Listen, we're in the Celtics bracket, right?
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Because if we was in the Cleveland bracket,
no, we're in the Celtics.
I would say keep hope alive that the Knicks can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But we're in that Boston bracket. It's gonna take a miracle.
Mitch went 4 for 4 from the line in the game. All things are possible.
Anything is possible, Steph.
Almighty finesse, man. Almighty finesse. We could beat Boston. Listen.
Man, anything is possible, Steph. One of their players said that.
Yeah, that's
anything
true.
Is possible.
It's the NBA, man. Everything's possible, but the odds are we're not.
What's the percentage? Like the question we asked about Cleveland, what's the percentage chance that the Knicks beat Boston in a playoff series?
13.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. If they're healthy, if both teams are healthy.
I'm saying 13 to 25.
Listen, man. Even if Boston is unhealthy, like let's say they lose.
No.
Seriously, let's say they lose KP. Why, you think you beating them? No.
Well, not KP, but if Tatum Brown.
No, let's say they lose Jalen Brown.
Have to go down instead.
Yeah, if they just lose, let's say Brown, we still not beating them.
If it was just Tatum,
that team is deep.
We wouldn't beat them.
Deep.
If just one of them went down, we would not beat them.
Let me tell you something.
Let
me tell you something. Don't underestimate when you playing off of somebody and being that guy. It's two different things. Some of them guys are good because they're playing off of Brown and Tatum. They getting the really good looks. They not getting keyed on. They not at the top of the scouting report. Tatum and Brown or Brown goes down. Your role is different now. You move up in the scouting report. I think the game is dynamic. You don't just take out one piece and be like, oh, well, Derek White can now be Jaylen Brown. I'm not saying he can't step up, but you can't tell me they're not a weaker team if one of those guys comes.
Oh, yeah, they're weaker. But Steph, Jaylen Brown goes down. What percentage you giving us? He's the only one down.
I think it goes from 13
to what, 27?
17?
Like,
nah. 50-50.
50-50.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Hey, yo, you turned into AJ this show.
I'm just saying, taking away one of their best players.
She is worse than me.
Yeah,
we're gonna win the championship this year.
I don't know, man.
What's our percentage of winning the chip this year?
No.
You
like
on a
less
roll.
than 1%.
You on a roll.
Nah.
Well, let's just say this. Knock on wood, I don't want him to go down, but I like to see it. I like to see, what we would do with a Jaylen Brown this Boston
50-50.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wow.
You're taking away one of their best players.
Yeah, but I guess we're saying that their other players are good too. Not saying that they're as good as
they are good.
They have players on their bench that have 40-point games this year.
Playing off of other guys. It's very different.
The time
playoffs can do that guy.
Usually
do that guy.
When those guys on the floor, Brown and Tatum are sitting on the bench, man, when those guys are going off.
Yeah, when they did that.
I'm talking about for an entire series. It's an entire series now where there's there's moves and counters and counter moves, and you're playing on teams' weakness. You cannot tell me that you take Brown off that Boston team and they still the chances of the Knicks winning is still losing is still the same. I
gotta share this one. With you. This is too funny.
We won the first.
We won that the last 2 years.
We getting that first round chip.
Hey, let's just say this: we could be the Sixers right now, so I'm good with where we're at. We're in the beginning window stages of a championship team, hopefully. So, this is just the first year this team has been like this.
And Kevin Durant will be here next year, so nothing to worry about.
Him and Moses Brown. So we will have the front
and Moses Malone and every other Moses that we need.
We will have everybody, man.
Old head. Should DeLon Wright get minutes over Campaign? For me, no. And I like DeLon Wright. I always did.
That's not
but
happening.
I would say no. And Almighty Finesse has a different opinion. I do not want Campaign throwing up shots in the playoffs. Wow.
I do.
If you don't watch him shoot them and you just hear the results,
I think that's what it is.
I think you'd be better off because he doesn't shoot a bad percentage.
What a weird shot.
100% of his takes look terrible because he just has ugly form, but he makes a lot of them.
It is ugly form. He like shoots to the side. It's a weird side shot.
It's not even the side. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
An abomination is what it is.
Yeah,
but he makes more than I can, so I need to shut up.
Yeah, but I like him over DeLon Wright. I mean, he doesn't have the size DeLon Wright has, but I just like the way he runs the team. I like the pace when he's on there, and I like the fact that he can shoot and score. DeLon Wright, if he hits a three, you're like, wow, thank you.
With Wright,
the other day he hit 2 of them.
But coming from because of Tibbs, you got to think about who our coach is, though. Will he choose Wright over Payne because of defense, though? Because he is a better defender.
But at the expense of is Campaign's defense so that much worse that you would, discount DeLon Wright's poor 3-point shooting? I mean, listen, the backup point guard is getting 6 minutes in the playoffs.
Right.
Getting 6 minutes in the playoffs. So, yeah. Monty wants to listen. Jarrell wasn't even here last week. This is what he was doing.
Man, listen.
He was watching tape, breaking down tape of who the Giants is going to select with the 3rd pick.
He was working overtime.
Really?
Right.
I'm gonna do this real quick.
Overtime, Steph. I'm not going to be there. I got to work overtime.
Right. So I'm gonna do this real quick because we about to end the show. We about to start.
Yes, we are.
I'm okay either way. Whether we pick, I don't think we're gonna pick Cam Ward because I think he's gonna go first. If we do get Shedeur Sanders, I'm okay with that. Even though we got 2 veteran quarterbacks, and I'm okay with that because we got 2 veteran quarterbacks. Shedeur wouldn't have to play early. But if we don't go Shedeur route and we get Travis Hunter or Carter, I'm okay with that too. My preference is Hunter because you can play him on both sides of the field. You don't have to play him both sides of the field all game, but he can play both. And I actually think that he can be a number 1 wide receiver, and we can have 2 dynamic wide receivers and just get another young quarterback of the future in the later rounds or maybe next year. That's just a quick answer, but I'm okay with Shedeur, Carter, or Hunter.
You would play him wide. You would play him at wide receiver with some snaps at corner, or would you play him mostly at corner with some snaps at wide receiver?
Wide receiver, some snaps at corner. We just signed number 1 corner, so he wouldn't be starting anyway. And we already drafted our slot corner, Andrew Phillips, last year, so he would be like 3rd down dime packages on cornerback, but he's a more dynamic wide receiver than he is a cornerback.
Isn't he more polished cornerback though than wide receiver at this point?
He's
No?
polished at both.
At both?
He's played both, started both ever since he was like started football. So he's polished at both. He's a better wide receiver than he is a cornerback.
Oh, wow.
He is dynamic as a wide receiver.
Okay. All right.
Unguardable one-on-one. It would be good look if he played. But I think he's going to play both though.
Thank you, Curtis Young. This is what I was trying to say. Stars make other players better. The subtraction of a star in turn can worsen the impact of his teammates. It's a dynamic. But I hear what the panel is saying. Other guys are going to step up in his absence, and the Knicks are still dead in the water. See what's happening with these Knicks fans supposedly up on the panel here? No, I'm kidding.
You calling us out?
I'm kidding.
The narrative Nancy's.
We're realistic. We're realistic.
We the negative Nancy's, man.
All right, last question and we out of here. David Elbaya, I appreciate you. Question for the panel. If Cat gets a fair whistle,
He won't.
and is aggressive and gets the advantage in the foul attrition war, and everyone else does a decent job with Brunson closing games, do we beat Brunson? Now, is this with or without Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, but look at all the stuff that has to happen in order for us to beat Boston, though.
Yeah, I don't think so. The Boston is better than New York, and they pose matchup problems for the Knicks. They can switch 1 through 5. Even old ass Horford can give you can switch for a few seconds. You know what I mean? Nah,
It's like their whole defense can shoot and play defense.
Yeah. Cat would have to turn into the Cat we saw in the first half of the season. That would need to be Cat in the playoffs. Just
right.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, they're just a bad matchup for him. I would much rather a team like, I know we can't, but like Denver, for example, where you could, even though Joker is over there, I think that's a better matchup than anybody that Boston, anybody you'd have to guard in the Boston series is a nightmare for us.
Yes, JM3000. The postseason is going to tell us a lot. This is the first year of our championship window, in my opinion. Some say last year was. And this postseason is going to tell us a lot, for sure.
Last year was, and so is this year. The team changed. So last year was that team's first year, and it's a different team.
Okay. All right. Any last words?
Salute to everybody on the panel. Good to be here. Salute to the chat. Once y'all leave here, I think Sim is on Nothing But Knicks now. I saw that he came on early. I'm pretty sure he's still on because it was just like a half an hour ago. I think he came on. So everybody have a good night. Salute.
And hit the like button on the way out, please.
Hit the like
happy
button.
Birthday next week, Jarrell, my guy.
Thank you. And happy
birthday. Enjoy, man. Enjoy.
If you are a fan of Carmelo Anthony, I wrote a piece that's coming out tomorrow that just talks about him going to the Hall of Fame and a little bit. It's just a puff piece about Melo. So if you're a Melo fan, check out the blog tomorrow. It's just an honorarium for my guy, number 7. And check that out. And let's get some wins this weekend.
Definitely. Jeff is a great writer. The link is in the description. So definitely check out the Happily Ever Clafter Daily Sports blog.
All right.
Ajay, you said something? I'm sorry.
No, we're just telling people. Yeah. Oh, Queen, next, I think we play Thursday next week. That's part of our back-to-back.
Okay, so we either gonna go Tuesday. What days are available for the show?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Yep. Because we play.
I think Wednesday is a bad day for you, Jeff. Right?
Yeah, I'll try and make it as soon as I get home from services, but I don't know what time that'll be. I think we got an elders meeting after that, so I probably won't be home till like 10 o'clock.
All right, I'll take a look at the schedule, but I also want to shout out Carmelo Anthony, one of my favorite Knicks, for first ballot Hall of Fame. That wasn't even a question. One of the best scorers to ever play this game. Poetry in motion, my guy, number 7. salute. I still don't think his number should be retired by the Knicks, but I'm not gonna shit on his Hall of Fame parade right now. Go ahead, do your thing. Do your thing, man. Love it.
You had to get that off. Huh?
Yeah, so that's what delusional right there.
Yeah, salute to delusional too.
Salute to
Yeah,
delusional.
no doubt.
All right. I appreciate everybody in the chat rocking with us. I appreciate the community we're developing here. And like I said, you can disagree without being disagreeable. And the community of late has been great, right? So I appreciate you guys, and we are using the timeouts for people who are trolling the panel and giving us a hard time, other than disagreeing with us. Other than that, everything is fair game for sure. All right, until next time, family. See me Monday, Queens Court, nothing but Knicks.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where